Hey everybody, it's that time for another Newb Default. This was a classic Newb Default game with long stretches of time hiding. And you'll see that throughout this video. If you're watching the video and enjoying the video, you'll see that I hide out in plain sight and basically have a classic Newb Default game. So I encourage you to follow my tactics, which involve as little killing as possible. But I thought what would be great today is to invite you into my little library and sit down at my feet as I sit in this little rocking chair and I read to you Thidwick, the Big-Hearted Moose by your favorite doctor, Dr. Seuss. Up at Lake Winnebago, the far northern shore, lives a huge herd of moose, about 60 or more. And they all go around in a big happy bunch looking for a nice tender moose moss to munch. Do you like moose moss? I bet you do.
Yummy!
Up at Lake Winnebago one day, they were lunching, just strolling along and enjoying their munching. For the moose moss that day was especially fine when it happened that Thidwick, the last moose in line, saw a bingo bug sitting. The bug called out, "Hey, it's such a long road. And it's such a hot day. Would you mind if I rode on your horns for a way?" "Of course not," smiled Thidwick, the big-hearted moose. "I'm happy my antlers can be of some use. There's room there to spare, and I'm happy to share. Be my guest, and I hope that you're comfortable there." So the bingo bug picked out a nice, easy seat, and the moose went on looking for moose moss to eat. Well, an hour or so later, the bug heard a squeak, and he heard the small voice of a tree spider speak. "I say," said the spider, "you've got a fine place. That moose seems quite friendly, has such a nice face. If I go on too, do you think he would mind?" "Hop aboard," laughed the bug, "and I think that you'll find that the moose won't object. He's a big-hearted kind." "I accept," said the spider, "with joy and delight." And he started a web on the horn to the right. While the spider was spinning, he heard a gay song, and a fresh little zinazoo bird came along. He stopped and he stared and he chirped, "Wow, wow, wow! What a smart place to build! What a great place to dwell! I've been living on trees ever since I was born, but here's something new. Why not live on a horn? If there's room there for two, then there's room there for three. There's plenty of room," laughed the bug, "and it's free." Thidwick stopped walking. What was all that talking? These guests had caught Thidwick the moose unawares. "Hey," he called out, "what goes on there upstairs?" All right, little commentary quick. First of all, as you're watching Newb Default, I'm playing it safe and staying cool. But Thidwick is playing it safe and cool with his own emotions. This guy does not know what's going on around him. He's not paying attention to his body. He's not paying attention to his feelings. He's not paying attention to what's going on really in his life. It's just happening to him. And you get the sense that Thidwick is a little bit getting into victim mentality here, you know? Like if everyone else would just do things for me, then I'd be okay. Thidwick needs to get a voice for himself, but he is a nice fella. Let's just keep reading. "Just building a nest, sir," the zinazoo said, and began yanking hairs out of poor Thidwick's head. And he plucked out exactly 204. "Don't worry," he laughed. "You can always grow more." Then he dozed off to sleep in his fine moose hair nest. "This bird," murmured Thidwick, "is sort of a pest. But I'm a good sport, so I'll just let him rest, for a host above all must be nice to a guest. Besides, now it's getting quite late in the day, and surely tomorrow they'll all go away. But alas, the next morning the sun's easy light brought to Thidwick's sad eyes a most unwelcome sight. "Meet my wife," said the bird. "I was married last night." Okay, this guy, first of all, this bird is a fast mover. He finds a place to live, goes out, finds a little girl bird to marry. It's kind of a little quick, don't you think? Well, maybe they've had this engagement for some time, but it feels like, hey, I've got this place to live. Why not join me, right? So anyway. So meet my wife, said the bird. I was married last night. And perhaps, by the way, I should mention to you that her uncle is coming to live with us too. You give an inch, they take a mile. Am I right? You're a very fine host, so I knew you'd be willing. Do you hear him buttering him up? Do you hear the manipulation of this bird? Who's that bird in your life, I wonder? Anyway, then the uncle, a woodpecker, started in drilling. All Thidwick's friends, these fellow moose, shouted, "Get rid of those pests." "I would, but I can't," sobbed poor Thidwick. "They're guests." "Guests indeed," his friends answered, and all of them frowned. "If those are your guests, we don't want you around. You can't stay with us because you're not just our sort." And they all turned their backs and walked off with a snort. Those aren't very good friends at all, right? They're not trying to help him. They other him, right? Like, you're not one of us. That just drives me crazy. Come on. Now, the big friendless moose walked alone and forlorn. That's a word we don't use anymore. With 4 great big woodpecker holes in his horn. "What holes?" whispered Herman, a squirrel who spied him. "What holes to hide nuts in? Mind if I try 'em?" "They're yours," said the woodpecker. "Get right inside 'em. This big-hearted moose runs a public hotel. Bring your nuts, bring your wife, bring your children as well." So the whole squirrel family all jumped on pell-mell.
What?
And the very next thing the poor animal knew, a bobcat and turtle were living there too. Now, what was the big-hearted moose going to do? Well, what would you do if it happened to you? You couldn't say scat because that wouldn't be right. You couldn't shout scram because that isn't polite. A host has to put up with all kinds of pests, for a host above all must be nice to his guests. So you'd try hard to smile, and you'd try to look sweet, and you'd go right on looking for moose moss to eat. That's called choosing intensity over intimacy. You're looking for something to soothe your feelings rather than dealing with the issue and knowing deep down what's going on inside you and how you actually feel. But now it was winter, and that wasn't easy, for moose moss gets scarce when the weather gets freezy. The food was soon gone on the cold northern shore of Lake Winnebago. There just was no more. And all of Thidwick's friends swam away in a bunch to the south of the lake where there's moose moss to munch. He watched the herd leaving, and then Thidwick knew he'd starve if he stayed here. He'd have to go too. He stepped in the water, then oh, what a fuss. "Stop," screamed his guest. "You can't do this to us. These horns are our home, and you've got no right to take our home to a far distant side of the lake." "Be fair," Thidwick begged, with a lump in his throat, and with Newb default almost winning, let me just say Thidwick threw them down and smashed them into the ground, and he won that day. Victory Royale.
It's time to dance.
Thidwick made a choice and found his voice.
Try not to like and subscribe. Resist.
Hey, thanks for joining me. It's been a pleasure.